Okay, here we go. Stand by. 3, 2, 1, action.
Assume nothing.
Brash, bald-faced blasphemy.
Question everything.
I find it extremely hard to imagine.
Open your eyes.
It is quite all right to be an atheist.
The fastest growing group of people in the country has been measured as being those who have no belief or who are atheists.
You don't have to be apologetic or quiet about it.
Challenge the opposition.
You see religion on 100 fronts losing the argument.
And start thinking. This is The Thinking Atheist Worldwide.
So I went on social media a few days back and I posed this question. I'll pose it to you. You can answer it rhetorically if you want. Or knock yourself out in the comment section, whatever. I was talking to Natalie recently. We were talking about beloved foods from our childhood, and we kind of got into weird food combinations. And I had told Natalie that when I was growing up, we used to have chili, but instead of crackers in the chili, we would put Rice Krispies in it. You know, the breakfast cereal? You'd pour a little Rice Krispies and you'd mix it up. And as a kid, I thought it was pretty good. And so I've kind of carried this affection for it. I don't eat it now. But it was a food or food combination that I liked that everybody I've told about thinks is disgusting. So I went on social media and I said, okay, fine. What's a food that you like or a food combination that you like that everybody around you thinks is gross? And the answers poured in. And I realized I'm not the only freak out there because there's some people with some odd, some bizarre food combinations. Just a few examples from the comment thread. Andrea said she's a big fan of peanut butter on pancakes. Well, I buy that. That's delicious. Now, some people make peanut butter pancakes. I totally get that. Jessica said she likes Funyuns and ketchup because it tastes like shrimp cocktail. Jessica, I'm repelled by and also fascinated with this one. I kind of want to try it. Funyuns and ketchup. The poor person's shrimp cocktail. Got to try that. Lauren said she likes to squirt sriracha in her coffee. What the hell? Sriracha in your coffee? Not trying that one. That'll just flat out hurt you. Bananas and Doritos, peanut butter and pickle sandwich. Violet said she likes chili with peanut butter in it. Now, there are two food items that should never meet. Chili and peanut butter should never meet. Those two should stay in opposite rooms with a wall. Build the wall, right, between chili and peanut butter. That's just not natural. Just not natural. A few more. Pizza with peach bits on it. Peach bits, I mean just peach slices. Tuna and peanut butter sandwiches. That's from Mandy. Wait, tuna and peanut butter. Two more food items that should never meet. Pickles dipped in chocolate mousse. That one's from Mandy. Nancy likes cold leftover spaghetti. Sabrina says she likes to dip her French fries in a Frosty at Wendy's. I buy that one. French fries dipped in a Frosty is actually delicious. I'll tell you another good one that I grew up on that's really good. Pringles and cottage cheese. Like you use the Pringle to dip out the cottage cheese. It's delicious. It's delicious. Jason likes strawberries dipped in mustard. Dawn likes ramen noodles with Doritos and dill pickle relish. Like, who thinks to put these three things together? Hey, you know what sounds delicious? Ramen noodles, Doritos, dill pickle relish. Let's go get some. And then just mix them up. Who comes up with that? Lee likes the peanut butter and cheese sandwich. Alec is a fan of fake crab. You know, and you go to the store and instead of buying the real crab or crab legs or crab meat, they have the imitation stuff. I still don't know what they make it out of. And it's obviously food colored to be red and white to look like crab. What is that stuff? I don't know. Alec is a fan. Spearmint gum and potato chips. Diana, I hope you're not swallowing the gum. Laura likes to smear her steak with strawberry cream sauce. What the hell? What? And the list goes on and on and on. I'm going to check this list again here in just a little bit. I'm going to get some more examples because I'm fascinated. And it's a nice distraction. What we like to call in my house, bubble gum for the brain. Sometimes you have to just lighten up and loosen up and talk about something else. I don't know if you've noticed, but I've been tense on the show lately. I'm surrounded by people who, when they introduce me at conferences or on radio podcasts, are always like, Seth is one of the nicest guys in the movement. Seth has a tremendous love for people, and Seth has a real compassion for believers, and Seth is such a patient, wonderful, nice guy. Blah, 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 blah. I don't feel that recently. I just don't feel it. I don't know if you've noticed. Last week, we did the show on the myth of new atheism, which ended up being kind of a rant show because I was so exasperated at this idea of new atheism. Oh, look, it's a new way to not believe in gods, and all the insanity floating around this particular piece of invective. And before that, we did all the misconceptions that people have about atheists, mostly because I'm just sick of hearing them. You know, atheists are just angry people. They're angry at God. They want to kill God. They want to be God. They have no morals. We went through all of these, or most of them on the show, just because I was exasperated. I have felt a palpable lack of patience recently. I mean, you're listening to a guy who just in the last few weeks blocked his own father on text. My father doesn't talk on the phone, but he does text. And I was getting sermon text after year after year. I finally just blocked him outright. We now essentially have no relationship. And I don't give a shit. How sad is that? I mean, I care, but I don't feel a sense of loss. Why? Well, it stems back to kind of a philosophy I have about my own life. And you have to hear this in context to know what I mean when I say, what do you bring to my life that's worth having? And this is a test that I use when I'm deciding whether or not people gain access into my circle, my inner or outer circle. Not what can you do for me, but what do you bring to my life that's worth having? Like, do you bring goodness? Do you bring friendship? Do you bring integrity? Do you bring support and positive things? Do you challenge me in constructive and positive ways? Is our relationship a good and positive and constructive one? Or every time I see you, do I feel worse? And am I exasperated? Does it just suck my will to live? Right? We all know someone. We all know someone who, whenever you finish a phone conversation or a real life conversation or read an email or interact with them on social media or encounter them in some way, you feel that you did all the giving and they brought nothing to the table. What do you bring to my life that's worth having? What do you bring? And so recently, I don't know if I'm just a product of my environment or if I'm approaching the age of 50 next year and I'm just losing my patience. I'm becoming the crotchety old man. But I'm not going to deal with it. I'm done screwing around. I'm tired, turning into that cranky old curmudgeon. He stands out on the end of the driveway in his old man shorts with his blazing white legs and his black socks and shoes. Just walks around yelling at people. Stay off my lawn. You're making too much and turn the music down. I can feel myself transforming into this person. I don't want to be that guy. It's easy to become cynical whenever we do what we do. We deal with what we deal with. We see the insanity all around us. And there's a ton of it to choose from. I don't want to become this jaded guy. I really don't. We all go through phases. We all go through cycles. Sometimes you just think there's no hope. It's never going to get any better. Things aren't changing. It doesn't matter. And you just bang your head against the wall. I found myself doing that from time to time. If I have to have this argument again, if I have to make this point again. Who was it? Tim Allen, the comedian on Twitter, this is just a few days ago, actually posted. Now, this is a globally famous celebrity, and he seems like a genuinely nice guy, but he actually tweeted, "If we came from monkeys, why are there still monkeys?" And of course, the internet just crucified the guy. I think, how in the year 2017 does this happen? Why is this question still considered an enlightened argument against the fact of evolution? I do not understand it. And you just become cynical. I don't want to become that guy. I started to hit that wall. I really did. I started to feel like I've been doing this for over 7 years on the radio, and it doesn't really make a difference, and I'm doing the same shit over and over again, and I'm having the same arguments, and it's a zero-sum game. I mean, you prep a show, produce a show, release a show, you're back to zero. Start all over again, week after week after week, even when you know you love it, even when you absolutely are doing what you know is right. It, after a while, becomes, I don't know, you stop feeling it. Does that make sense? Any creative people probably know what this, hell, anybody probably knows what it's like to know that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, and at the same time feel a sense of numbness and exasperation. It's like someone's tapping you on the skull with a ball-peen hammer over and over and over and over again. And you're just like, make it stop. Does it even matter? Is it making a difference? Does anybody give a shit? I went out to the American Atheist National Convention in Charleston recently. And I'll tell you, I needed that, man. We were there, obviously, for the convention, and then they capped it with the big solar eclipse event. I won't bore you with too much talk about the eclipse. I'm sure you're burned out on it. But, I was there, and people don't know what goes on. Like, there are so many things happening in your mind at any given time. So someone comes up to you and they talk about the weather, or they talk about their kids or their job. And they don't know that under the surface, right, under your skin and your own mind, you may be going through something. And they don't know what baggage you brought to that moment and all the things that are just roiling around in your skull. The stresses you have about your life and your family and your future and all those types of things. People just don't know that. And so, here I am, and I'm on the cusp of burnout, and I'm frustrated with my family. My family, again, who, they sent somebody to the hospital for an emergency appendectomy. And of course, the comment section is like prayers, praying, faith, prayers, God, prayer, which is fine. Pray all you want. This is fine. Pray all you want. But I'm watching this going, not one person has mentioned the fact that it was a doctor who diagnosed the problem and a doctor who cut him open and fixed the problem. And nurses and medical staff who essentially got him back on his feet. Not one person. So I go into the thread and I say, don't forget the physicians, the nurses, the support staff who actually fixed the problem. And for this, I was called out as the asshole. Don't you dare bring your godless agenda into this discussion. Godless agenda? I just stated the obvious. Maybe somebody ought to thank a doctor. Maddening. It's frustrating. Become more cynical. It's a vicious cycle. I'm on the hamster wheel. So here I am. I'm all keyed up. I'm at the American Atheist Convention. And somebody walks up to me and they said, I just came out of religion. I mean, I guess within the last year, she had just come out of religion. And she's like, my whole world is, I had no idea this was going to happen. Wasn't prepared for it. I was looking around at my life, wondering what's going to happen next. And of course, I'm hearing echoes of this in my own story because I was there back in 2007. What's happening to my world? She said, I Googled atheist and found your show and listened to the broadcast. And I was encouraged to realize that I wasn't alone in this and that I wasn't going mad and that it was, It's perfectly okay to ask these questions. And she just walked up to say thanks. I thought we were both going to start crying. You sit in a studio like this and you sometimes, I'm alone here with a microphone. Like it goes out, even when we get calls and emails in, it's not like standing face to face. And you hear from people who say it matters. It made a difference. It helped me. It matters. It made a difference. It helped me. Trust me, as a host, that's like oxygen. And I had several other people come up and they were like, the show was there for me at a time when I really needed it. And it helped me to sort of reset, to dial back the cynicism, to dial back these feelings that it doesn't make any difference. Nobody's listening. Because they were telling me that it does matter and that it did make a difference. I'm not trying to toot my own horn. I'm telling you about the exasperation that I sometimes feel in my own work when I look around at the insane world, and the feeling, we look around and think either it's not changing or like evolution, it's changing at such a slow pace that it cannot be observed, at least very well. I need it to change faster. I need the solutions to appear faster. I need it to matter faster. I need things to kick into high gear because I just from day to day often don't feel like I see a difference. I don't see improvement. It just often seems like things are getting worse. To be able to be around all those amazing people, it was huge. We were there for the eclipse on Monday. Storms in the forecast. We were out there with all of our glasses on. Can't see a damn thing through those things. It's like putting on a welder's mask. Like the only thing visible was the dot of the sun and the moon slipping into view, And we had scientists who were narrating. They were giving us information from a stage, and these people had set up these big-ass telescopes, and people were able to take turns looking into the viewfinder and seeing it through these major telescopes. It was such a cool thing. Watching the moon creep in over the sun more and more. The eclipse was about to happen right before totality. This one storm cloud just right in our field of view. Like we saw everything except for the final totality, that 1/60-second sweet spot where it was completely blocked out. But it was still awesome. David Silverman was there, and he said we actually got a double eclipse. You got a cloud that covered the moon, which covered the sun, which I guess is a way to turn our lemons into lemonade. Everybody's smiling. Everybody's taking photographs. Everybody's hugging. Everybody's connecting. Oxygen. Just felt so good to be among friends. It felt so good to be around people who were there to encourage each other and challenge each other and learn new stuff. Just make friends and connect. Trust me, it matters. I'm going to be in Kentucky this weekend for the Kentucky Free Thought Conference. If you're going to be anywhere near Louisville, you should come. You can just go to thethinkingatheist.com/events and you'll see the link there. Going to be in Milwaukee coming up at the end of September, 1st of October, I think. Orlando, Florida, free flows coming up. If you get a chance to come out to one of these things, there's no feeling like being among friends. There's no feeling like being around people who aren't looking at you with that nauseatingly condescending pity. Somehow you are broken and that you are this and you are that and you're not like them, so you must be damaged in some way. And I, in my own life, just needed a reminder. I'm human, very flawed person. I get to a point where I'm just not conducting myself in a way that I'm not at my best. I become, I don't know, Natalie calls them hot buttons. Like I can be somewhere and somebody will say some trite, hackneyed phrase or argument, and I just kick into gear. Like, you got to be shitting me. Is this the best argument you can come up with? What was the other one I heard the other day? And we talk about this. When someone said, well, your atheism isn't any better than our religion. And I'm like, what kind of a defense of your religion is that? Your atheism isn't any better than what we think, which tells you that they don't think what they think is all that great. They've just equated my non-belief with their belief. This is the argument. And when I'm sort of keyed up, I literally look at them like, you got to be shitting me. Is this the best you can come up with? Are you trying to win the credibility battle with this steamy pile of putrid poo? Because that's what it is. We had a conversation in my own house recently, and I'm just talking here. And Natalie she's a peacemaker. She wants peace. She doesn't like conflict. Well, much of what I do is, these are debates, discussions. It could be construed, I would hope construed as positive conflict, and I kind of thrive on it. I like to get my hands in the mix. I like to go out and have these discussions. I like to challenge and be challenged. I like to go out there and just get my hands dirty, right? And she doesn't really get that. And so, she's like, I don't want you to become hardened. I don't want you to become jaded. I don't want you to become an angry person. Oh, I'm not going to become an angry person, honey. It'll be all right. And then all of a sudden I find myself thinking, I'm just pissed. I'm pissed because I'm the one withholding belief for lack of reason and evidence, and I'm the one that's being pawed at by all these sanctimonious religious types who can't prove a goddamn thing they're saying. Oh, I'm so sorry that you don't have a relationship with my Jesus. Yeah, prove Jesus. Oh, that's just so sad. Jesus is real. Yeah, can you prove him? Well, it's written about in the Bible. Who wrote the Bible? Well, the Bible is true. How do you know it's true? The Bible is the Word of God. How do you know it's the Word of God? Because it's true. Does it bother you in any way that Jesus wasn't chronicled by any contemporary historian? The Gospel's written long decades after the supposed death of Jesus Christ, blah, blah, blah. Well, he lives in my heart. Jesus is love. Jesus loves everyone. Yeah, what about the Jesus of Matthew that told us to be prepared to hate our own family members on his behalf? Well, that's not the Jesus I serve. Ugh. What about Jesus, the architect of hell? My Jesus would never send anybody to hell. Well, it says in the Bible it's going to send us to depart from me, all you who are cursed, into a lake of everlasting fire. Well, that's not literal fire. That's just metaphor. Oh, God. It doesn't matter. It doesn't make a difference. Nobody's listening. Nothing changes. I struggle with this. I struggle with it. I've lost a relationship with most of the members of my own family. Like, we get together, we'll see each other, we'll probably see each other on the holidays. I'm going through a discussion in my own mind whether or not I want to even bother. Is that their fault or is it mine? Is it their problem or is it mine? I don't know. Has my own attitude or flaws in my attitude made me jaded, or am I a product of my environment where it's a natural action-reaction thing where everybody around me believes in magic and I'm asking them to actually do a trick and prove it? Oh. Speaking of magic tricks, by the way, at the American Atheist National Convention, hanging around. I'm at my table, I'm sitting in a chair, I'm talking to buddies, I'm grabbing a bite to eat, whatever. I see this little guy walking around. He's just walking around. And then it hits me. Holy shit. That's James Randi. James Randi, the amazing Randi, the legend, the legendary magician who spent half a century entertaining audiences and debunking bunk, helping to expose the charlatans, and just being an amazing entertainer and skeptic, and the guy who founded the James Randi Educational Foundation and put up the $1 million challenge to anybody who can prove supernatural or paranormal activity. $1 million is all yours. Still, nobody has won the prize. I think that's very telling. It's James Randi, though. He's just walking around. Now, this is a guy, he could have spent the whole time in his room just hanging out, doing his own thing. He didn't have to come out and spend time with people, and yet he had such a generosity about him. He just came by table to table, person to person, making jokes, shaking hands, giving hugs, taking photographs. It was amazing to watch the guy at the age of 89. 89, and he's working the room, and he's making everybody else feel special. It was really something to see. I brought my video cameras with me because you never know when you're going to bump into somebody like James Randi. And I thought I would love to get this guy on camera for the Thinking Atheist YouTube channel, just do an interview. And so I see him walking around the corner, and I walk up to him about to ask if he would do a video interview until I realized he was walking into the John. I thought, well, that's probably something I don't want to interrupt. And then I don't want to catch him right when he walks out of the bathroom, like accost the man at the men's room door. Pardon me, sir, would you like to go on video and have an interview? I didn't want to do that, so I hang back. And so now I feel like I'm stalking. I'm kind of watching out of my left eye to see where he is, where he's going, what he's doing. I find the moment of opportunity sitting in a hallway near the conference room door. Mr. Randy. By the way, I'm thinking, what do I call him? James? Do I call him Mr. Randy? Amazing Randy? Sir? I don't know. I think I said, Mr. Randy, I'm Seth. You've been on my radio show a few times. What an honor. Blah, 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 blah. I'm fanboying. Fanboy. Sir, would you like to go on camera and have an interview and talk for a few minutes? What time were you thinking? Well, I'm free now if you are, sir. And he just kindly looked around and said, well, I've got a few minutes. I think that'd be wonderful. And he stood right up with his little cane. He has a black cane with a skull on the top of it. And we walked around the corner into the studio, and I got him on camera. 15-minute conversation will probably translate to about a 11 or 12-minute video. It's going to release in September. And the whole time I'm behind the camera, I'm thinking, it's James Randy. I'm interviewing James Randy, the guy who's been on The Tonight Show and has done all the stuff, the guy who hung over Niagara Falls and did that trick, and the guy who debunked Uri Geller. And it's the legendary James Randy. I am about to spontaneously combust from joy. And he was kind and generous and amazing. And you'll see the video here in a few weeks. I needed that. It was like a shot in the arm. It was like, a reminder of the privilege of doing it, a reminder that people are out there making a difference, a reminder that these discussions do matter. Oxygen, right? I should have asked James Randy what his favorite peculiar food was. Like, does he have, he's got one. Certainly. We've all got one. Hey, Mr. Randy, sir, amazing. James, Mr. Sir, do you have a food that is unusual or peculiar that you love that everyone thinks is disgusting? I'll bet he would have had a great answer. I wish I'd have thought to ask him at the moment. Another opportunity lost. Back to the social media thread. Chocolate cake and orange juice. What? Lisa said she likes baby food. But like Gerber? Like the stuff they served to RoboCop in the movie? Baby food? David likes peanut butter and bologna. Valletta says she likes mango and soy sauce. Derek said his grandfather loved sardines and condensed milk. Oh my God. I hear retching sounds. Like I can hear you through the radio. Just a couple more. Scrambled egg tacos with mayo. A BLT with peanut butter. Patrick says he likes cottage cheese with steak seasoning or Mrs. Dash. Cottage cheese with Mrs. Dash. Steak seasoning on cottage cheese. I would try that, Patrick. I would try that. Another thing it helps to do whenever you're feeling a little bit burned out and you've hit that wall, to help people feels good. This last endeavor we did on the Thinking Atheist social media pages was, I'll admit, just a tad self-serving, but only in the best sense of the word, and hear me out. Again, I'm surrounded by people who, they're all prayer warriors, and they're not bad people. This is the language in which they have been taught to support other people. Oh, I'm sick. I have the flu. I have a broken arm. I'm going in for heart surgery. Oh, I'll pray for you. Of course, the cynic in me is reminded of that sticker that I saw on the Evolve Fish website that said, prayer, when you care enough to do the very least. Get off your ass and go take in some groceries. Do something. All right, I hear the cynicism rising back up. I got to just relax. I got to relax. But I'd like prayers, prayer. Well, there came to my attention someone who is associated with someone on my family tree. It's not a relative, it's a friend of a relative who needed transportation from a medical care facility in Oklahoma to a medical care facility in California. Has some significant health problems. You can't just put him in a car and take him. He actually has to be transported via medical RV. Well, welcome to the United States of America, where everything medical costs squillions of dollars. I mean, it's prohibitively expensive. It's going to be $15,000 to get the appropriate vehicle and the medical care and professionals to get this guy from point A to point B. Yeah, I know it's crazy, but that's the way the system is set up. His wife's going to be in California. This is now going to be a family separated, and he will get better care on the West Coast at this particular California facility. So I saw that a GoFundMe page, some kind of fundraising page, had been put up on his behalf, and I thought, what the hell? So I posted a link on my own atheist pages and said, hey guys, can we help? Now I'm guessing this person's religious, and I'm guessing, knowing his circle, that all of his friends and family are religious. Who cares, right? It's a human need. This would be a tremendous opportunity, not just to help somebody, which is really the main focus. We really do want to be a solution to the problem. But my selfish reason for doing so is, unlike all the other fundraisers that I have been involved with, for Doctors Without Borders or Foundation Beyond Belief, and we supported the digging of wells and funded the digging of freshwater wells in Ethiopia through Charity Water. And we've done all these different charity efforts. We helped a young woman fund medical care for lung transplant surgery. And even though she eventually passed away, I think this community was responsible for the fact that she had an extra, 3 years with her family before she passed away. These are things I'm hugely proud of. This is the first one of these I've done that is connected in some way to my own circle. Wouldn't it be amazing for all the people who are telling me that I'm not a moral guy and that I have no moral center and that I can't know goodness without God? Wouldn't it be amazing for them to see an outpouring of support by all of these godless folks who just wanted to help? Right, the people who aren't saying prayers, platitude, prayer, and instead said, here's $10. I hope it helps. We raised the money in a matter of days. It was amazing. Natalie and she fairly asked me, are you doing this to prove a point? And I told her, I'm doing this because I really want to do it. But I'm also honestly trying to reveal to people who do not know atheists, who aren't wired in with atheists, they don't spend any time watching me or what I do or why I do it. They're not interested in what atheism is, what a life without God can be. They're over here operating in their little wading pool of religion. I want them to be presented with front and center an example of atheists doing good for goodness sake. In fact, that's what I call the campaign. People were standing there praying for him. The guy'd still be stuck in Oklahoma. Now he's going to get a chance to travel, to be with his family, and to get better care in a better facility. Thanks to us. Thanks to you, rather. Thanks to this community. It feels so good to be a part of the solution. It feels so good to actually do something, doesn't it? And it's therapeutic, you know. It's like wanting not just to bitch about the problems, but be part of the solutions. And I'm ready for solutions. I'm ready for more than just talk, the flapping of the gums. I'm ready for solutions to our problems. I don't really have a point today. I think I'm just in this weird spot as an activist, as a producer, as a host. I would hope as a friend, I'm at this weird spot where I'm stopping to refocus. You know, I'd hit the wall. I had come to a point when my cynicism was starting to override all of the other things that were going on. And I did not want that for me. I don't want that for this show. I don't want that for this community. I understand frustration, but I just, more than anything else, just wanted to be part of some solutions out there. And to refocus on the fact that the conversations, not just here, but the conversations that you are being encouraged to have in your own circle are helping to positively impact people and change minds and matter. Hell, even if you don't say the word atheist, if you're living a life without God, people are going to probably notice. And they're going to see goodness. They're going to see generosity and kindness and laughter and joy and purpose and love and all those amazing things. And they're going to see it happen outside of the context of church and religious organizations and platitudes and prayers and Godspeak and magical thinking. And they might just be thinking in their own lives, wouldn't it be nice to get rid of all this other bullshit and baggage and do it the way they're doing it? Looks like they've got a pretty good life. When you come up to me at a convention or elsewhere and you tell me your story and you talk about how the show or the guest we had on who spoke about this specific subject or something critical that we had tackled, or maybe just the off-topic shows that were just for laughs and for fun, those made a positive impact in your life. You then make a positive impact in mine. You make me better. You make a difference. You fuel my engine. You keep me going. Thank you. Thank you. People say, where do you think the show's going to be in a few years? I don't have the first clue. I hope I'm still doing it. I hope people still care. I hope the content still matters. I hope we're still relevant. I'm going to give it everything I've got, and I'm going to try to get through these valleys that occasionally hit where you just look around and feel a tremendous, overwhelming sense of exasperation and just recenter, refocus, put the vehicle back in gear, trod forward, do what you can do as best you can do it, hang in there, keep the fight going, right? That's what I'm going to try to do. Coming up next month, I'm going to do some interesting shows. I've got a former Jehovah's Witness. He is now an activist who speaks out boldly against his former faith. You know, it's funny. I used to think that Jehovah's Witnesses were just these sort of happy, weird people. Like the Mormons. Oh, they're just so happy and sweet. They're just odd people. And then you get into the nuts and bolts of the Jehovah's Witnesses and you realize just how insidious it is. It's bad. It's really, really damaging stuff. And so I'm going to talk to this former Jehovah's Witness in the month of September. I'd like to do a show on millennials and non-belief. Let's talk about these millennials. I hear a lot of talk in my generation. These damn millennials today, blah, 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 blah. But we're seeing the younger crowd, the 25 to 30 and under crowd, largely more and more uninterested in religion, at least how their parents defined it. I want to talk about the millennials. Do you? If you have a question or comment or you want to participate in that discussion, drop me an email. podcast@thethinkingatheist.com is the email address. And just put millennials or something like that in the subject line so I know what it is. I try to get to every one of those and maybe have you on the show or read your email on the show. Are you a millennial or do you have an opinion about those millennials? What do you think about them? That's going to be an interesting show. October's just around the corner. That means ghost stories. It's almost time for ghost stories again. I guess I should start writing one. I guess I should start the preparations for that show. Oh, so much to do. And honestly, at the end of the day, despite my occasional exasperation and frustration and cynicism, at the end of the day, it remains a privilege to be your host. It remains a privilege to have you as my friend. And in many ways, my family, my support system, those who listen, those who connect with me, those who keep me accountable, those who challenge me, those who provide the community that I no longer have in the church, I do have here. You matter. You make a difference. You are critically important to me. For listening to this rather loosely formatted, unscripted stream of consciousness, whatever we want to call it, over the last 40-some minutes. I do appreciate you very much. I hope you've at least been entertained and enjoyed. I hope you go out and find your favorite weird food today. Go enjoy something that appeals to you. Have a wonderful week, and I'll see you back here. We'll do it again next Tuesday. You take care.
Follow The Thinking Atheist on Facebook and Twitter. Watch dozens of original videos on the Thinking Atheist YouTube channel. And visit our website for resources, links, contact information, the editor's blog, and more. thethinkingatheist.com.